Welcome to Digital Dominators, the podcast that helps small business owners grow their confidence, sharpen their digital skills, and actually enjoy showing up online. I'm Sooz Young, your host, tech coach, and digital cheerleader, and every week I chat with brilliant experts to bring you practical tips, smart strategies, and the tools and tech to make business easier. From social media marketing to websites, content to confidence, AI to automation, we're breaking it down into simple steps you can actually use. If you're ready to make things simpler and more successful in your digital world, you're in the right place. Let's get stuck in. Welcome back to Digital Dominators, the podcast where we decode the digital world so you can show up, scale up, and do business your way. Let's be honest, meta ads, that's Facebook and Instagram, can feel like a money pit. You boost a post here, throw a tenner at an ad there, and wonder why it's not working. And it's not that the ads don't work, it's that most small business owners are doing them completely wrong. Today's guest is here to fix that. Nikki Oliveira is the CEO of Honor Digital and a senior media buyer who spent years running profitable ad campaigns for small businesses and purpose-led brands. She's not here to teach you hacks or vanity metrics. She's here to help you launch meta ads that actually work. Nikki takes the mystery and the stress out of paid advertising. Her approach is clear, strategic, and results-driven, whether you're spending £5 or dollars a day or scaling to 5 figures a month. In this episode, we're breaking down what most business owners get wrong about meta ads, how to know if you're ready to run ads, Nikki's 3-part system for profitable campaigns, and what to do if you've been boosting posts and hoping for the best. Grab your headphones and maybe a pen, because this one's going to save you time, money, and a lot of ad-related heartache. So let's get into it. Hi, Nikki.
Hi, Sooz. Thanks for having me.
It's so great to have you on the podcast today. So today is my first chat with somebody talking specifically about meta ads. And this is one that I'm really looking forward to going into a bit of a deep dive about, because it's something that you'll know as well how much the businesses get frustrated with. They want to get themselves seen in front of their ideal clients. They think, yeah, great, there's a tool that will help us to do that using Facebook or Instagram and other meta packages as well. And however, they don't seem to get the results, and so they just pack it in, right? And I know that most businesses do that when it comes to a lot of tech solutions that they try to implement into their business. So we're going to talk about that right from the basics of making sure that we're set up properly, all the way through to effective campaigns and looking at the results and the success of those as well. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of that, Nikki, what I like the guests to do is to reintroduce themselves in their own words and tell us a little bit how you got to Honor Digital. So Nikki, tell us a little bit about your journey so far.
Yep, thank you. So I come from a tech background. I was an IT project manager in corporate for 6 years, and on the side I've always had a big interest in sort of health and fitness and trained to be a personal trainer during lockdown. I then started exploring social media a little bit more. I ended up creating a brand which was called Juicy Gluty. It was resistance bands, exercise bands like the thick ones that you put around your knees, because obviously in lockdown everyone and their granny were exercising from home. And it was a case of nobody could really get their hands on equipment. Remember that? It was like extortionate. So I got these bands manufactured, branded it, and then started selling it. So this is how I kind of started being aware of paid advertising as well as obviously organic posting. And it wasn't until maybe a year or so later that I came across a course to teach all about, Facebook ads, meta ads, a sort of boot camp style qualification. And I thought that would be really helpful for, any future ventures on social media to try and sell product. So I then got qualified. I learned a lot through that qualification, and it was a large agency who who were given the qualification, who were teaching in the first place. And they actually ended up saying to me, would you like to join us as a media buyer in a sort of junior position to begin with, to put what you've learned into practice, because we're really needing someone at the moment? And I jumped at that chance because I was actually on maternity leave with my youngest child. So obviously I had that time away from corporate, and I thought, perfect opportunity to really embed these foundations and strike while the iron's hot, really. That's the best way to learn, right? And through that, I really understood and got a really good foundation about different types of businesses, what sort of ad spend works, what kind of creatives and so on that we were running that yielded results. And yeah, the results were just astonishing. And I was like, this is why everyone's doing this, it was taking it away from just a theory. It was, this can actually really change a business's landscape. So from there, I went back to corporate and was, come back from maternity leave, and I was like, no, I want more than this. And then instead of going to another agency to become a media buyer, I thought, well, I'm going to set up on my own, because along the way I accrued other skills like web design and automations and so on. And I thought I can bring all of that together and pull all my expertise to launch my own agency. And that's how Honor Digital was born.
Wow, what a journey to experience what it's like to run meta ads. And I think that's one thing that I just want to help the listeners understand, the difference between that kind of user, that kind of self-user that uses meta ads, to actually having an agency do it or having a company do it on their behalf. Because there is a big difference there in how it's run and how it's set up. And that's why you invest in an agency, to be able to help take that support for running the ads for it. So let's talk a little bit about just the standard basics of meta advertising, right? So we know during and post lockdown, it used to just be Facebook advertising, and you would run Instagram advertising. And then when the platform rebranded to Meta, it's now just become Meta ads. And now with Meta AI, there's a whole evolution of the Meta suite and the Meta products. And so advertising across the Meta platform is dramatically really changed, and it is constantly changing as well. So keeping up to date with it is something that we need to. It's hard to keep on top of it, as we know, but I think this is why I'm going to the experts that are using it on behalf of lots of other businesses is really the way to go. So let's just go back to those kind of fundamentals of meta ads. How would you describe meta advertising to a business owner that's maybe looking to get in front of new people?
Yeah. I mean, we've got to think about it as one big, really intelligent algorithm. It's a robot. So it's a very efficient robot, but we need to program it to tell it exactly what we want it to do. So one of the first things I asked you is, what is your objective? What are you looking for? And this is the part that unfortunately is a little bit misleading in how the language it's used. For instance, traffic. You want more traffic, but traffic is it's driving clickable people to your ad. It not necessarily what you want it to do. So for instance, if you're running a traffic ad to your website, yeah, sending people to click on your website, but what you actually want that person to do is to inquire, what we call a conversion, to buy from your website, to inquire, to click your lead magnets, your freebies on your page. That campaign objective isn't set up to do that. So there's no wonder why there's so much confusion with setting it up from the get-go of what you want it to actually do and how you're setting it up and how there's a mismatch there. So I think it's getting that right. What are you wanting to achieve from running meta ads? Is it you want to grow your following? Do you want just more eyeballs on what you're putting out there? Are you wanting leads? Are you wanting people to inquire and give you their information? And yeah, it expands from there, Suze.
So to get any sort of advertising set up, there are some like fundamental things that we need to set up on the platform itself. So let's talk about that in detail just to get the right setup, right? So we know that with any tech, having the right setup means that you're generally solving a lot of the problems from the start, right? If you're not set up properly, generally come into problems quite quickly. And it can even come to the point where Meta can block those accounts if it's not set up properly. So an example of that is in 2017, I went on what's called a social media cruise. The most stupidest thing ever, because why would you run a social media cruise when the boats don't have internet? So what had to happen is that every place that we stopped off, we had to go to a hotel to be able to do the setups and to help the people set up their ads. And then what happened is that because everybody's on the same IP address, you can imagine 30 people trying to set up their ad account. Facebook immediately blocked it down because they thought that they were getting spam. It was spam and a hacking accounts. And that was really just training on for people how to set up their ad accounts. So not only that, they set it up with PayPal, and PayPal is not always what you would recommend as well to set up as your payment gateway for Meta ads as well. So those are like just some simple fundamentals, right, on how you're making sure like your account is set up properly. And it does go down to the basics of like making sure that your website's ethical and legal, privacy policy, all of that stuff, having that set up on your account. Do you run ads from your business page, or do you run it from your personal profile? How many ad accounts should you actually have? Let's go down to those basics, Nikki. What do you get started with when you're working with a small business owner? Let's say that small business owner has got no experience at all. What are the fundamentals that you would set up with them?
Yeah, definitely the privacy policy that you touched on. It's so important that you have that in place um, from the get-go, and it's up to date. Um, Also, it depends on the type of business that is running ads. Like, we want to make sure that if they have any disclaimers, legal disclaimers and so on, that we have a copy of that so we can include it into the advertising. I would always recommend that they set up a Instagram page and a Facebook page, business page, that's separate from their own personal account for ads. And that those pages are also optimized, that they have the basics. It's got a clear name, a good bio, decent pictures. I wouldn't say it needs a lot of posts, like grid posts, but it needs to have up to date, like recent posts. When people are clicking on ads and so on, and they're having a little nosy of who you are, because this is probably the first time that they've come across you, they want to make sure that they're dealing with someone who's legit, right? Straight away, if you've got a post from like 2022 and that was the last post, it's like, is this a current running business? Is this someone I want to do business with? So definitely up to date profiles. And website as well. Is your website up to date? Is it optimized for people to contact you easily? Some people bypass ads altogether and just want to give you a phone call or, email you or fill out a contact form. So from a website page, if you think about, we call it above the fold, don't we? It's like the first sort of visuals that you see on a website. If that's not optimized for me to be able to within a couple of seconds contact you, then again, you're missing a big opportunity. So it's kind of having those fundamentals in place. You touched on there, Suze, about payment gateways. Definitely not PayPal, but an account, a credit or debit card which has available money, because when you're starting off, Meta is going to restrict how much advertising money that you can put through your account. So that money needs to be available. Otherwise, it will just stop. Your ads will completely pause until there's money available. And we're not going to be able to spend more until Meta's then comfortable that you are reliable enough to have available spend for
Yeah.
them to take.
Yeah, and those are things that actually going through the process of setting up your ad account, it doesn't tell you that these are the things that are needed. It will just say that you can't run ads at this time. And people go, why can't I run ads? I've got like my business page, I've got like everything set up. And usually it's because they haven't attached their payment gateway. But the instructions, which are so convoluted and complicated, that they don't make it an easy process. It's not a clear onboarding process, I think, for most businesses. And that's why they're apprehensive, I find, to be able to use it, because the instructions aren't clear. And I suppose that's quite a lot of what you see when you're starting to work with business owners, is that apprehension and the frustration of trying to get it set up when the instructions there aren't really helpful to be able to get it set up properly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like when a business has boosted posts, to get them set up with a proper business portfolio and have everything connected is so much harder, because that ad account has already been claimed, so to speak, by the Instagram boosted post or the Facebook boosted post ad account. It can really complicate things, and even for someone experienced, it can become incredibly frustrating if things are not set up properly from the get-go.
I know, and it's because the actual tools themselves have got some automation to set up that as soon as you're posting on your pages, both your Instagram and your Facebook pages, that it's going to encourage you to invest in some sort of ads by boosting a post. Get in front of new people by running an engagement post to get more people seeing your post, or more followers to which is a common one for Instagram, right? To get in front of
Yes.
new people. Do is connect it to the right account, right? To the right account center, to the right account. So there's almost a step of like taking a step back and going, right, let's get these fundamentals in place, right? Let's get the right things in place for running ads. So is that one of your 5 mistakes that you talk about when people are running ads? Is making sure that it's set up properly?
It's definitely one of them, but it's not one of the key ones that I talk about in the training.
Okay, so let's say
Yeah.
the first thing then, before you go into like the 5 mistakes, one of them, the fundamentals is just making sure that you're set up properly as part of it. So we've touched on some of that there, Olivia. Okay, so Nikki, let's talk about what are those 5 mistakes that people make when they're running ads. Let's go into those.
As a creator, I used to spend hours re-recording voiceovers to get the perfect tone. But finding reliable voice talent, booking studio time, and editing takes forever, and it can break the bank. That's why I recommend 11 Labs. It generates ultra-realistic AI voices and even clones your own, all in seconds. With natural-sounding speech, multilingual support, and seamless text-to-speech conversion, 11 Labs powers podcasts, audiobooks, training modules, and more. No mic required. Ready to level up your audio? Try it free today at allmylink.me/TC11labs and bring your scripts to life with 11 Labs.
Yeah. So let's talk about boosted posts first, because that's definitely one of them. So it's kind of pressing the buttons and hoping and praying that it's going to deliver what you want it to do. I mean, Meta make it really easy to think that you're advertising properly through boosting. I mean, you've only got to look at the page to go, okay, so I've just got maybe 5 buttons to click, and then that's me running ads. But what you're really doing is just saying to Meta, this is what I want people to see. Match it up with the people that you think will engage with this. And what ends up happening is the engagement, or whatever that it's generally engagement, right? Let's be frank, it's more like likes, follows, shares, all of those sorts of things, comments. And you're spending a lot more money to achieve what you could if you set it up properly in Ads Manager. You could target certain demographics of people. For instance, if you're going to target other business owners, it's a B2B campaign. So but if you're not stating that this is for business people and you're just saying it's for everybody, then you're going to get more people viewing that ad who are not necessarily your ideal audience. So you get more eyes on your content, but not necessarily
The right
buyers.
people.
Yeah,
The right people for the action and the goal that you want them to take
absolutely.
in
And
that sense.
followers are worthless if they're not ready to buy sort of customers. I mean, obviously there's a lot of nurturing that has to happen for someone to be ready to buy, but if they're not your, sort of avatar, customer avatar to begin with, then what's the point of having vanity metrics if they're never going to be a customer of yours in the long term? They're just going, yeah, that content's nice, or that's entertaining if you're jumping on trends or whatever. So that's definitely the first mistake. The second mistake I would say is with the targeting. Business owners are either going far too broad, like not giving Meta enough information of who to target, or they're going far too narrow. They're putting, lots of different interests, behaviors, like people demographics, revenue demographics, like on an ad that it's so narrow that Meta doesn't really have an opportunity to show that ad to others, as well as if it's being too, well, with it being narrow, the problem you've got is your audience size is not big enough. So when it's too narrow, what ends up happening is your ad gets shown to those people so many more times. So your CPM, which is your cost per 1,000 impressions, goes up because we're showing that ad again and again and again to the same audience, and that's how we get creative fatigue. And then from there, then that's obviously harder again to fix because we need more creatives. We might need to change the audience. There's a lot more work. And then ends up being your ad account just gets so messy. You don't even know if you're coming or going. And that's the point I feel a lot of the time that people go, don't know what I'm doing. I've set it up in the first place, but I don't know what to do when the cost starts rising, or, Meta's telling me that there's creative fatigue and all these numbers are coming up and I don't know what they mean. And, you're scrambling at the help pages, but it's not really telling you how to fix it. So that's another mistake is with the targeting. You've got to get really clear with who you want your content to be seen by.
Let's deep dive into that a little bit more, because I think that's like one of the fundamental setups that people don't address as well when they're setting up their ads, because the right customer for the action that you want to take may differ as well. Because even though you may have an ideal customer for the type of product or service that you're promoting through advertising on the Meta platform, but for the goal of that specific ad, it may be different, right? So taking the time to really understand those key points, those key interests, those location, the demographic details, and really understanding that before you set up the ad, then allows you to set up not just what we call the ads, but the ad sets. And it's the ad sets here that we're talking about when it comes to the demographic, right? Because even that language is confusing for people, right? Because we've got I don't know why they make it so complicated for people, really, but even just understanding the language that is associated with meta ads is a challenge for most business owners. So yeah, deep diving into those demographics for the action that you want them to take is super important as part of your setup. And this is what we talk about as part of like you could call it like a targeting wheel, where you've got the people and their interests or their demographic that may be specific to that type of offer that you've got, which might change. And we know that Meta is what I call a data monster as well. So it has to work with either data it's been given, which is that customer avatar information that we're providing it within the ad set, but also the data that comes from other places that are connected to your business, right? So that's your
Absolutely.
website, the content that you're putting out on your social channels, and then these little things called pixels, which people are used to thinking about their pixelation of their TV screens, but actually the pixel is something different when it comes to Meta. So let's talk a little bit about what that pixel is, Nikki, and the importance of getting it set up and implemented depending on the goal of your ad.
Absolutely. So when actually setting up a brand new ad account, I make sure that the pixel is created. Now, pixel is just another name for, you can think of it as like a little tracking device, right? And that tracking device sits on your landing page or your website, and it can then relay to Meta, this person visited this page and this is what they did. This is what they clicked on, this is what they downloaded, etc., etc. So it can feedback and try and find more people, who are going to simulate those actions. And it's so important that we have that. So setting it up in the first place is important, but then making sure that you're also testing it to make sure it's firing properly before the ad goes live is also important. So I mean, Meta will take you through a guide to make sure that that is firing okay. But you really want to run tests. Use a different device, go onto the website, and then see what if the data is actually pulling through onto the pixel. But yeah, you're right, Suze. The minute you even say pixel, people just go scary. I don't know what that is, and I don't know how that works. But depending on the type of campaign you're running, it won't actually put the ad live until it notices that a pixel is there, because it needs that information to be able to run that objective if it's a
Yeah.
conversion campaign.
Yeah, especially a conversion campaign. And that again, that goes back to the type of goal that you want to have for your ad. And again, engagement ad is just really views, just what people viewing your content. And that's really just the basic pixel code that you can get. It's stored in Events Manager for those that are maybe looking for it within Meta Business Suite. It's called Events Manager. You get your pixel, and then you install that onto your website. Depending on your web tool that you use, it may be stored where you've got your tracking or your tag management. It might be called something like that. Or if you're using WordPress, you can use the Metapixel installation to be able to do that. But it's generally stored in there where it's tracking that person that's landing on that page and feeding that data back to Meta, because it is a data monster. And the other thing to add on to check it as part of it is to install the Meta Pixel Chrome extension on your browser, and that will show you if the pixel is installed effectively. Even if those of you that are listening or watching this, if you go to a web page and you have Meta Pixel Helper installed, you will see if that web page is sending data back to Meta or Facebook or Instagram, which is why if you're looking online and then suddenly you're on your phone and you get targeted by an ad from that website, that is because the pixel is installed. That's just the standard page view. This is you saying, yes, I've landed on that page. But for every action that you want to take, which is what we call a conversion, which is converting somebody into being a non-opting in or buyer to being something that is, we want to make sure that part of the pixel is installed as well. And actually Meta goes through that process. The language is convoluted, complicated. However, there are support out there like yourself, Nikki, that can help people go through that process as well. But that is the feeding, that's the data. That's the data that it needs to be able to effectively retarget the right people. So this person is more likely to be your buyer. They get shown an ad, they click on the page, that page then sends that information back to Meta. Meta says, oh, more people like these are going to take action like this. So we're going to feed those ads to more people like that. And that's the optimization that you want on your pages, right? And that comes from being set up properly in the first place.
Absolutely. Right? Yes. And even finding where the pixel is within the data set and all of that, those options change so much. It's unbelievable. Like, you'll be like, but it was there last week, but then, oh, it's somewhere else now. So yeah, the options don't make it easy for us.
They don't. They really don't. And that's why there's been agencies that have been able to charge like between the 5 and 10K a month for running ads. That's just running the ads, not the budget for the ads as well. Because the clients I've worked with in the past have spent thousands upon thousands with agencies, but also having to spend that money on the ads themselves. And when we partnered with Facebook in 2019, we got given £15,000 of credits to run ads for 6 months. And that was in 2019. And I think that shows business owners the amount of budget that's required to get in front of, and that was just to run ads in Scotland, right? 15K to run ads in Scotland for 6 months, which was a low budget for them, for us to spend. And we were like, amazing, I got 15K to test ads, right? I can run and build my audience. But I think that helps people understand that actually you don't need to spend that amount of money, but you do need to be optimizing effectively. You need to have things set up properly and feeding that beast effectively as part of it. Okay, so set up, important, demographic, important. That's mistake 1 and mistake 2. What's now for mistake 3, Nikki?
Shall we go into ad spend then, since we've just been speaking about it? So
let's do it.
I would say another mistake is just not putting enough money, like ad spend budget, towards your ads. Now, the more ads that you have, the actual creatives, whether that's a static image or a video clip, like a reel, for instance, the more of that you have, the more budget is then getting diluted to those each of those creatives, right? So if you're saying to Meta, look, you've only got, say, £10 a day. I see that all the time when I had audited accounts in the past, like £10 a day, and then you've got like 4 creatives. How do you expect Meta to then use that money efficiently if it's getting so diluted? It's not going to give you results fast. It's not going to learn, because you need to put more money behind it. So, I mean, how much ad spend should I put towards ads is one of the, I would say, the most common questions I get asked. And I say, I wouldn't waste your time if it's anything less than £500. 500 is the absolute bare minimum, but you've obviously got to look at your financial position as well, because there's no guarantee that you're going to get results with meta ads, right? It does work, yes, but it may take time to warm up the audience. And
that's right.
When you start running ads, it's not a quick fix, instantaneous yield. I mean, yes, you can get, for instance, if it's new customers, leads that you're looking for, you can get those people coming through within, 24 hours. To actually get it optimized into the exact people that you're looking for, we need to give it time. We need to give it money for Meta to do what it needs to do. Because when we talk about ad spend, we talk about how much we're essentially bidding on how much time that we are allowing Meta to show our content to the right people. If someone who's spending, say, £1,000 a week or a month, their content's going to get shown more and have more of a priority than yours, for instance, because that's just the name of the game, right? Meta it's advantageous for someone to spend more because they'll get rewarded more, is really what I'm trying to say with ad spend.
It's that bidding process, like it is with Google as well. Running Google ads in that same way. It's having the right, well, I suppose that's a little bit more with the right wording around it, but the keywords. But for meta ads, it's really making sure that you've got the right people targeted within your ad set, making sure the pixels set up and that you're putting consistent content out so that it can feed that data monster as well. And this is, I think, what people don't realize as well. So Meta's telling me I can run £10 a day and I'll run that for a week, and I've not had any results from my ads. So Facebook ads don't work or Instagram ads don't work. but they don't realize that it needs time to learn. And so there's like a standard learning time frame. So we talk about a 30-day usually learning period. Do you recommend a similar amount of time, or do you suggest even longer as part of that, or shorter for the learning periods for the meta ads?
I would say about 30 days is correct. I mean, when I'm taking on new clients, I generally recommend working for 3 months on ads because, like you said, we go through a learning phase first of all, but also what we don't want to do is keep chopping and changing the ads once it's live. It's like give Meta a chance, because every time we stop, every time we change something, because we're not clear on who we're targeting or what we want them to do, it's stopping that learning from happening. And you're almost starting again. So that retargeting just isn't happening.
Yeah,
And that can
it's
also,
really costly.
it's really costly, and it will stunt your results for sure.
One thing we get people to do is to run video views ads at the same time as they're running any sort of other traffic or conversion ads, because the video views are very low cost. And any videos that you post on the platform, you can go back to 364 days and add them to that custom audience for video views audience. And you can add them within your ad set. So you've got this continuous feeding the beast. So rather than running engagement ads, you're running video views ads. You talking about who you are, what you do, why you do it, how you do it for. And that's then getting shown to these same people, so that when they're seeing your conversion of action that you want them to take, which is opting into something or buying something, they're like, oh, that's that person. This is what they do. I've seen them before. The 11 touch points are being recognized across all of our different channels that they're seeing them on. I've checked the website, looks cool. Opt-in page looks cool, looks the same colors, same image, same person, same language. Okay, this person's credible, right? I'm going to opt in to see. So that's how we talk about a low-cost strategy, video views ads, the same time as you're making sure all your setup is there. You're feeding the beast for a few months with content, with the pixel, feeding the data. And then hopefully that will help get some better results, is usually what we see for our audiences as well. I've just given my full strategy away of what we do when we work with clients, but that's what works for us, and that's what gets us the right people. So if it works for the audience,
100%.
please do that and take action and ask questions in the comments, because it's definitely what has got us the right audiences and retargeting, because our pixel's now been running for since 2018, 2017. And then with that money that we got not only from Facebook, but also the money that we invest whenever we've got funding, we invest in ads to make sure it goes to the right people, because we need to feed the beast in the right way, right? It's a data monster.
It
We've
is
got
an
to feed the
absolute
beast.
data monster, for
Yeah.
sure. Well, that kind of brings me on to Sooz, like another common mistake is not having sort of consistency with the messaging. Like your message said in many different ways is going to resonate with different people. So, but we want the core message to be consistent. We don't want to be talking about something random in our ads and then what we're actually offering is something completely different. You know, what we write in our ad copy, in our headlines, and even down to our button, you know, is it a learn more? Is it apply now? All of that matters because it's going to speak to your ideal customer. That needs to be consistent. And then we've got to look bigger picture as well. Like, what is the user journey from clicking on your ad? Like, what happens next? Are we preparing that person through our ad copy to what's happening next? It could be, you know, answer these 4 quick qualifying questions, and then you're going to go through to a website or an apply now page. You know, we've got to almost prep the customer to expect that's what's going to happen next, and also the time frame on that. You know, you could say it only takes a minute or take 60 seconds and do X, Y, and Z, because when people are scrolling, it's generally because they've got a certain amount of time, a pocket of time free to be on social media. So If you're then sending them to a 20-question questionnaire and you've not prepped them in your ad that's what's going to happen next, that's how people just fall off.
Yeah.
They'll just go, don't have time for that. Click the X. But we'll see about that later, and then that never happens.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about prepping that customer journey. And then also, are you maximizing that lead when it comes in? I mean, I talk all the time about speed to lead is everything. How quickly is that lead coming in? What's happening on the back end? Do you have emails and SMS set up in the background to say, thank you for opting in, or here's a little bit more information until I can then call you within business hours? Because what a lot of people fail to realize is ads are running 24/7. Someone could be clicking on your form at 2 a.m. and by the time that you've even managed to phone them at, say, 10 a.m., they've forgotten all about you,
Yeah.
or the reason why they clicked in the first place. So if they have a follow-up email, a follow-up text, or that sort of continuous nurturing process set up in the background, even if they weren't quite ready to speak to you at the beginning, by day 4, day 5, they'll be in a better position to speak to you.
It's not just about the onboarding experience, it's the offboarding experience as well, which is really still that onboarding experience. It's what happens before. So your setup of your ads or your infrastructure is really set up properly. The ads are set up effectively with the right headline, the right link, even the link being correct, right? The colouring, the congruency from one thing of what they see on the copy to what they then see on the web page. All of these little details matter, but they matter because they matter to your customer. So if they don't matter to you, then how do you expect your customer to take an interest and take care? So it's us as business owners, business leaders, to really think about our customers here. And that goes back to that kind of customer avatar, right? This is why we set up our business, is to help more people usually, right? Either with a product or service. We've always got to think of them at top of mind. So what do we want that experience to be after they've decided to click on the ad, read it, watch it, take action? What are we doing next for them as well? And that's your email nurturing, that's your kind of call follow-up if that's part of your process, that's your automated sequence that you may get as part of that kind of follow-up. And all these things matter to that customer that is taking that time to click on it. So it's not just about boosting a post to get in front of new people, it's that full customer journey of where you're taking them throughout their experience, because it could be their initial experience with you and you want it to be the best as possible. And what we do find as well and is that most people that are awake at that kind of woken up between 2, 3 or 4 in the morning, they're more likely to opt in, they're more likely to buy, they're more likely to take an action as well. So we never say don't run ads during the night, we say run ads during the night, because people tend to take action at that time, which is interesting. Do you see that as well? I don't know.
do.
Do you see that?
I've had a client say, I woke up to X amount of leads, and it's like, well, they
Yeah.
are running 24/7, so but
Mhm.
it's then that race to get to them quickly.
Yeah.
And if that obviously that nurture process is not already there, then it's like a scrambling
Mhm.
motion. And like I said, sometimes that results in that person not answering their phone or just not being engaged
Mhm.
with your opt-in. So
And we don't want that at all.
we don't
We
want
want
that.
them. Nah.
And we want to set ourselves apart from our competitors as well. Not all people, like, no, not everybody is optimizing their customer journey. So anything like those little things matter. And if that person's maybe gone to 4 or 5 different companies who are doing the same thing, and you're the one that's, you know, sending them emails and doing these different things, they go, oh, well, I had a better experience with this person. They might be charging me more. They might not be the best fit, but because of the experience that I've had, I'm going to go with them.
Yeah.
It's building that trust.
It really is. And we are in a trust poor not society, but people are very trust poor now, especially with what's happened this year with the social platforms and the way that they've changed and the way that people are behaving on the platforms. A lot of people have a little bit more due diligence now as well on how they're utilising their social channels specifically. So it's important that you make the experience better than you would expect it yourself. And sometimes you don't know what that is and what that looks like because you might not have experienced it, which is why it's important to speak to experts about experts with tech knowledge that understand that process and that can help streamline that process, help you stream that process for your customers. And that's where people like yourself can help with that. Okay, what's the next mistake then that you see? Is this number 5 that we're on to now, Nikki?
Yes, that's number
Yes.
5 now. Yes. I had to count back there in my head. So, number 5, I would say is, I'm losing my train of thought. Let me think. So, we've done budget, we've done messaging, we've done boosted posts, audience, we've done as well. I'm sure there is another.
We've talked about the customer journey, making sure that experience is optimized.
Yeah.
Was there
Do you know,
another one?
I've probably put 2 together,
Two
but
together.
I can't think
Okay.
what that is. Sorry, Suze, lost my train of thought.
That'll come back to you. Don't worry about it. Okay, so what other advice would you give to people that are wanting to run meta ads? What other things can you share with them?
I would say not to give up too quickly. You know, this is a long game. You've got to play the long game with ads. You know, making sure that you have got fresh content, that you've got engaging ideas. Like, do you know, I just remembered the last mistake. So
Right, go on
let's
then.
quickly go back
What's
to that before I deep dive. And it was about
Okay.
the creative itself, because what tends to happen is when we think ads, automatically for some reason go into this corporate way of thinking that it needs to be really flashy and salesy, and that's really not what works. Like, people can spot an like sales pitch from you a mile away. If your content looks like a normal part of their feed that's scroll stopping, they're more than likely to stop. If it looks too salesy and too cheesy, almost like that's what we associate, isn't it, with something big salesy, is it's almost a little bit cheesy. It's like a quick scroll past. Oh, they're trying to sell me something, sort of idea. But like, so for instance, I've seen almost more story like ads do really well. Like a short clip of, it could be a girl drinking a glass of water with a little bit of text overlay that's slightly animated, that looks like a normal reel, right? And not a normal sort of 4 or 5 second reel that has a little bit of text, same sort of native text to the platform. I've seen those sorts of video ads do really well, whereas the ones that people have taken a lot of time over to be really kind of punchy and like a sales pitch don't tend to do really well. And we always talk about the ugly ads, you know. When we talk about ads, it's like the one that you don't think will do really well tends to be performing
Always
well. And I don't understand
same.
why it happens.
It's the same like you create a piece of content that's maybe not even an ad and you've spent an hour doing it, minimum of an hour, and it gets tiny amount of views, and you post a picture of something random and that gets the most views. And this is the challenge that I think businesses are faced with, is that they have a platform that they have got no control over. Yes, they can run their business on it for free. They can use it completely for free. However, when it comes to advertising, that's where the strategy needs to come in place, right? And the goals specific about your business being in place. But yeah, I get the whole salesy thing as well. What we used to talk about back in that kind of 2018, 20, even actually to the start of COVID, we were still doing quite optimized video-based ads and recommending that for businesses, real polished ones. But it doesn't work anymore. There's too much AI content out there as well. So it's about the authenticity, I think people are looking. So faces is still working well. Is bright colours, I call timeline hacking. When you're scrolling, this is my phone, when you're scrolling on your phone and you stop and you're like, and you've seen something that you resonate with, that's you being timeline hacked in that way. So things like that, they still working? Are you seeing with your customers? Okay, good. Yeah, that's good to know as well. Okay, so those are 5 mistakes, really. And you talk a lot about that. And you've actually got like a training for people, is that right? On these 5 mistakes. Let's talk a little bit more about that, Nikki.
Yep. So I've put together a quick sort of 10-minute video about some of the common mistakes, and I kind of really do go into some stats and what stats to look out for, because how are you going to recognize that it is a mistake in the first place, that it isn't working? You know, we talk a lot about there's a lot of little things like CPL and CPM, and what does that even mean? But what numbers do you want that to change to as a metric to say, okay, this is performing better? So I kind of go into that a little bit as well. And it's really just, are you recognizing one or more of these mistakes? And if so, this is what to prioritize. And these are the small things to change over the next 30 days. And you should see an improvement if you really do take note and take stock of what I'm saying in that training. But again, if not, if you get really overwhelmed or confused, then certainly come and speak to me about it, and say, Nikki, can you audit what's going on? Like, take a deep dive into my ad account and see what's going on here, or where I'm going wrong, because it can be quite easy to spot sometimes with a trained eye. Of maybe something that's not set up properly, or how long something's been running. Is it, what are the stats telling us? What's the data telling us? Because it can be quite some obvious telltale signs.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head there with it being a trained eye, and it's somebody that's gone through the experience with multiple times with multiple businesses that can spot those things quite quickly. And generally, I find it's even just through asking the right questions with people, whether or not they're set up properly. So even just having a quick conversation with you, Nikki, you would know right off the bat what things that could be optimized or tweaked in a way to make that performance better. And I think another thing, just to add on to all this great conversation that we've been having, is that it's a long game. It's not a short game. It's a long game. All social media is a long game. There's no quick fixes. All these marketers, the bro marketers, all these people that say that you can do things really quickly. I made 10,000, 50,000 over 30 days. Not real. It doesn't work like that. It can't work like that. It's not set up to work like that.
Absolutely.
So that's where people, I think, get frustrated with the tools, because they're seeing these ads with people making false claims. So really, trust is important with your customer, breaking it down to what is your customer, what's their journey that you want them to take to you and your product and service, and how do you treat them well on that platform, isn't it?
100%. Yeah. Don't believe the guys who are showing you Stripe screenshots of how much money they've made, because they can be curated as well.
Yeah. Very much so. Chat can do them really quickly. There's actually, just total sidebar, but there's been a report out last week, you might have seen it, that employees of companies are making receipts on ChatGPT and claiming expenses from them. Not just ChatGPT, but other tools as well. So we know that there's things wrong with the online space. We know that. But is that your integrity as a business owner? Is that your customer? Is that why you're doing it? Probably not, right? You're probably there to support your customers in a better way. And running ads is a great way to do that. It's just been optimized properly to be able to do it. So taking the time to optimize is the most important, making sure you're set up effectively. I explain all tech like this, right? Before you cook your dinner, you need to know what you're going to cook. You need to go to the shops. You need to buy your food. You need to buy all your products. You need to store them effectively in your kitchen. Then you need to prepare it effectively as the recipe follows. Then you put it in the pot. You see what happens. You might need to add some extra spices. You might need to add extra flavouring. And then when it's ready, you bung it in the oven. And there you go. You've got your dinner. And that's the same for any tech. It's the set up first. that is the most important. The fundamentals of that, really understanding that to start off with. I think that helps people understand. Anyway, I'm having a coffee ramble is what that is, Nikki. So let's finish off. What are some 3 tips that you can share with people on running meta ads, Nikki?
Yeah. So have enough budget, first of all. Really think about how much available money you've got, and over what time frame you want that to last as well. There's no point running an ad at £50 a day for a month, and then it's just too thinly stretched. So we want to be making sure that we've got enough budget to last us the sort of time frame that we want to run ads over. Second, I would say, before you even think about ads, is your product, service already converting? Is it good enough that organically people are wanting it, buying it? Because ads can't fix your product or service, right? All it's doing is you're giving it more power to then multiply. So if you're doing something wrong organically, that's just going to also be multiplied and amplified. So make sure that what you're offering from the get-go is perfect before you start running ads for it. And lastly, I would say just have some patience with it. If you are running ads on your own, don't micromanage it. Like, don't be on top of it every hour of the day, freaking out about the numbers, because you need to give it some time. And the more, like I said previously, the more you keep messing with it, the worse your results are going to be. So it's like having some faith.
Yeah. Trusting, making
Trust
sure
the
you're set up
process.
properly, trust the process once it's there, let it do the work for you, and think about it as a data piece, right? Managing your data. What data are you giving it? Is it the data about the right customer? How are you feeding that monster, which is meta, really, in that way? I can't believe we're an hour into this chat already, Nikki. We could chat about this for such a long time. So how can people connect with you, Nikki? Where do people get access to that free training that you've got for them, and where else can they find you?
Sure. So the free training link will be in the show notes. It's just onadigital.com/5 ad mistakes. So you will be able to see that down below. Also, you can contact me via my website, which is just honordigital.com. I'm on Instagram as Honor Digital, and Facebook and TikTok. So lots of places to connect with me, but I'm sure Sooz will put them all in the show notes for you.
Great. Thanks, Nikki. They'll all be in the show notes. They'll be in the everywhere else that you are watching or seeing this too. Thank you so much for joining me today, Nikki. It's been a great conversation. Go and have successful ads. Think about your customer, get set up properly, and get some extra training about how to not make mistakes with your ads. So thanks so much, Nikki.
Thank you so much, Sooz.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Digital Dominators. I hope today's episode gave you something practical, or at least a bit of a boost to keep things going in this mad digital world. If you're enjoying the podcast, hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming up. There's loads more good stuff on the way and some brilliant guests lined up too. And if you fancy going a bit deeper, come and join the Digital Dominators community. It's totally free, and it's where I share bonus trainings, podcast extras, and tools to help you build confidence with your digital skills. You'll also get access to my social media prompt calendar, so you can finally stop staring at that blank screen wondering what to post. Just head to technologycoachingonline.com/digital dominators to get started. Alright, that's it from me just now. Stay curious, keep showing up, and I'll catch you in the next one.